Hey everybody, happy Sunday. I know what I said about not watching Jen's video because it made me sick, which it still makes me sick. But yesterday, Wendy, who was in Florida with me the last two times, she texted and called me and said, you gotta bite the bullet and you gotta do a rebuttal because there's so much nonsense in Jen's video. Not that we don't all know Jen's video is full of nonsense, and I think it's kind of important that like I do this because of the name of my channel, because there's no way that she doesn't see it. So I want her to understand what people in general are thinking about what she said. So I'm going to again, you know me already. I got 12 pages of notes. So I'm just gonna go over some things that I think are important from that trial the other day. So Jen was gonna go on the stand and said that she created the website. She created the Facebook page. Sorry. You know, I have two secretaries, right? If I ask them to do something on the company's behalf, doesn't the buck doesn't the buck stop with me? They wouldn't do it on their own, sitting in their living rooms on Saturday afternoon, if I didn't ask them to do it for the company. She made a Facebook page about Motor One. Clearly, that's a Metro State thing. They've told us a million times that she works for Metro State. She's also a contractor, I guess. And they always say contractor. It's subcontractor anyway, dopes. But anyway, so she's his agent. And this is another one of the reasons why that prosecutor is a dope. Like, I don't know why he brought all this stuff up at the beginning of the trial. I guess he had to let Amir know he had it. But I would have let her dig a tunnel, and then I would have hit her with it at the end. You know, and she says in her video how they went after her. They went after her. They didn't go after her. They asked her 3 questions. The prosecutor asked her 3 questions, and Amir asked her 2 questions. And then she left the room, and the judge said, no, she's not a credible witness. Because everyone knows she's not a credible witness. I don't even know why she shows up. She said, I was not going to show up. I was on the fence about whether or not to show. Why would you show up? You're the least credible person on earth. Jen, don't show up. Other than to be seen, don't show up. So they played these videos in court, and the judge said to Amir, are you aware of these? And Amir said, only within the last 5 minutes. And, they played them. And while they played them, the judge kind of had his head in his hands. And Amir had his head down. And Jeremy was shaking his head no. And his head was turning beet red. Like, I got to stop the trial. At that moment, if I'm the judge, which he has every right to do, he can stop the trial and he can say, Mr. Dewitte, what's going on? What would you like to say? Because that's what I would have loved for him to do. Mr. Dewitte, it's an audio recording of you speaking to her last night. Where can he go with that? And this is never what happens. Like, I want people to say to Jeremy, yeah, it looks like you're a cop if you're wearing a bulletproof vest, but why wear a bulletproof vest? It's a high-risk escort. Like, a 95-year-old woman died. It's high risk. You're protecting women and children. You got to explain that to me. Like, nobody does that. Nobody makes him really explain it. And, with the cops, he says, I just want a lawyer. He gets out of it that way. Or, but in a court, he can run. And this judge knows who he is. And the judge, we know he's Amir's, former business partner, but he did everything he was supposed to do. Amir asked for acquittals at least twice, I know, maybe 3 times, but definitely twice, and he denied them. He didn't give that up. So, and then Jen, if you watch the video, classic. Jen provided evidence. She came in with the Google email confirming her address to her, confirming, or him or whatever, confirming the Google account. Nobody needs that from you. That's nonsense. People want something from Google in a courtroom, they're going to get it from Google. They're going to subpoena it from Google. Why would anybody give you the opportunity to forge anything? She said they thought I forged it. No, they didn't. They didn't care about what you had. It's of no consequence. What they wanted was, Amir wanted to show them snippets of a text message. But in court, as we've seen this with Jeremy a million times, they want the whole conversation, right? I don't even know why we go to court and we bring a piece of a conversation. Every judge is always going to say the same thing, or every prosecutor is always, or the defense, somebody's always going to say the same thing. Give us the whole conversation, to which that party's not going to want to do that. And then that's going to be the end of that. So all that, like, and Amir knows this better than anybody. So the idea that Amir presents a text message is just silly. It's just a time waster. No one's going to let it in because they want the whole conversation. But I wanted to get that out about the Google thing. Jen shows up to court, with the smoking gun. Stop it. They're not going to take that from you. They're going to get it officially from Google. Sorry about the glasses. I can't see. Okay. Screenshots, did that. Talked about that. She had the no evidence. Jen, yeah. Right. Google document. Then she said she was in one of the conference rooms, and the walls were so thin she could hear Woods and whoever. They weren't in there. They just weren't. The assistant prosecutor was in that room. There was no witnesses in that room. It's just not true. So, sorry, the mic cam's on. It's just not true. Another thing that's not true. What else? Yeah, and on that Google thing she brought in, it's so stupid. She puts that on her video, and right across the center of it, she has her stupid logo. So I dated a police impersonator. So you can't actually see the document anyway. But I promise you, no one's accepting a document. They didn't think she forged it. She said they thought I forged it. Nobody said that. It's all about her. Everything's all about her. That's what makes these two so special. They're like the Batman and Robin of It's All About Me. Right. And she actually loves that about Jeremy, that he makes everything all about him. Also, all her nonsense about, their relationship is breaking down. Those phone calls the night before on Wednesday night were all honey, sweetie, lovey, the whole thing. So she's full of it. And, she said, I didn't know that Jeremy wasn't supposed to call me. Really? And would you have cared if you did? But Jeremy's head was turning beet red also from the back while they were playing those tapes. And he kept shaking his head. No. No, what? What else? Yeah, I just wanted the whole convo. So also in that Google, in that thing that Jen got, if you read them, Jeremy's illiterate. And then the woman from the courthouse from the sheriff's office who responded is also illiterate. If you read both those emails, you'll see, neither one of them can write. Jeremy has like a ninth grade education is my guess at best. Also, if anyone knows any of Jeremy's, like, wait, Jeremy went to high school, could you let me know? Because I'm going to definitely reach out to his classmates. Could you imagine what his classmates have to say about him? Because that would be fun. I would love to do that. This was good. Right. She said James Woods presented something. James Woods is a probation officer. He didn't present anything. And, you know, they keep saying that James Woods wants to, you know, he wants to put Jeremy on community control. He wants to do this. He wants to do that. He's a probation officer. Do you know what he wants? To do less work. That's what he wants. He wants you to never bother him. He wants you to do everything right, and he doesn't have to deal with you. That's what probation officers want. They want their probationers to be no problem. He doesn't want to do all this. He's forced to do it because you're an a-hole. That's that. So she went on about how, you know, she was talking to Amir, and she said, Amir, you're wasting my time here with this stuff. And when I was talking to Wendy about this, Wendy and I, we differed on this. Wendy said she's trying to make it seem like she has, you know, an open line of communication with Amir. And I said, I disagree. I think that what she's trying to do is she's still pissed because Amir doesn't want to deal with her based on those phone calls we've heard where Amir said, I'm not talking with her on the line. And now Amir needs her. He doesn't really, but I don't know why he even bothers. But I guess they were going to let her take the fall for it. But again, it's absurd. She works for him. She was in his house. The identifiers show it's his house. Which also, where is Rania while Jen is sitting in his living room on his laptop? You know, and one of the last, I don't want to mix up all these phone calls. I want to really do them individually because a lot of the calls that Fraudy and PT have released in the last week, they all deserve their own rebuttal because they all have amazing stuff. Like Rania said yesterday, I think it was yesterday morning, Fraudy released one, and Jeremy was trying to make her feel guilty. He said, bring the baby to court. And she said, Jeremy, they told me the baby's not allowed in court. And he said, don't worry about it. Once you get here, they're not going to turn you away. And she's like, so you want me to drive to Orlando? For what? He said, so they see in court that I have support and they'll give me a bond or whatever. And she's like, Jeremy, they're gonna base it on the law. They know you have a family. She's like, are you trying to blame me now? That's exactly what he's trying to do. If you don't show up to court with the kid, then it's your fault he didn't get bond. Because, as we all know, it's never Jeremy's fault. So that was that. Yeah, I am going to make some rebuttals to some of those, too, because there's some great stuff in there. Jeremy made 3 phone calls to her that Wednesday night. You know, they're sequestered, right? There's different kinds of sequestering. There's a sequester we all think about where you're locked up with just your jurors in hotels and that kind of thing. But the judge also imposes, and again, if you guys know this, don't be like, I know that already. I'm learning. I didn't realize it. And like I said, I have a criminal justice degree and I didn't know this stuff. But the judge can sequester you in a way that you just have a gag order, right? It's essentially a gag order, I guess. And I heard him give Jeremy that gag order. I heard him tell them, don't speak with anybody about it, right? I was concerned about what I could speak with to people about it. So they had 3 conversations, a 13-minute conversation, a 12-minute conversation, and a 6-minute conversation on Wednesday night. And those 3 conversations all lasted about a half hour out of the hour. And a couple of the stupid, Jen immediately wants to know if any of the jurors were black. Who cares? I hate that. They're just people. They're just jurors. They're not Spanish jurors. They're not purple jurors. They're just jurors. I don't know why that matters, but to Jen it matters because this is where Jen's head is at. And Jen asked him who was in the courtroom, if any of his family showed up to the courtroom, and he told Jen, just these two YouTubers who are running in and out of the court all the time and writing furiously, and yeah, that would be Wendy and I. So that's funny. Jeremy's illiterate. I told you about that. Sorry for the delay when I do this. And I wrote so quickly when I was doing this yesterday because I was working. And then she was saying how she, her quote was, anybody who's not, I don't want to quote it, but anyone who's not scared to be in court is stupid. I've been in court lots of times, fighting tickets or fighting something. One time I was even an expert witness in a trial, believe it or not. No, I'm not scared. You know why? I don't commit crimes. That's why I'm not scared. And then at the end, she said she was fired up to get on the stand. Well, which is it? Are you scared because it's scary to be in a courtroom, or are you fired up because you're fired up? And I don't know if everyone's heard this, but, in those 3 phone calls last night, Jeremy told her exactly what to wear. And the judge said to Jeremy, she wore exactly what you told her to wear. Like, what are you doing? Making it all about her. And she kept saying that Woods, on Wednesday, she said it was so bad, they kept kicking him out of the courtroom. It's not what happened. And you weren't there. So how can you say what happened? You're going to say what happened based on what Jeremy told you? Talking about the fruit of the poisonous tree. If Jeremy told me today was Sunday, I would go find a calendar. No, Woods, I explained this before. Woods, he said, I saw Jeremy in 2020 when he came out of jail. So they were all fired up because they only wanted the statutory blank. I don't know what I can say. The statutory blank, the jail term for that mentioned. They didn't want the jury to hear that he had any additional jail terms because it would prejudice them in some way. So Woods just said, they said, when did you meet Jeremy? I met him in, 2020. He had just come out of jail. Well, he's a probation officer. When else is a probation officer going to see people? Guess what? When they get out of jail. I don't know. It's just, so that was that. So that's why Woods got kicked out of the room. And he didn't get kicked out. They asked him to step out because they just wanted to clarify. Don't say that. Okay, I won't say it. That's it. I'm gonna make some more about the phone calls individually that Fraudia and PT have released, because there's a lot of good stuff in there. So I just wanted to give Jen a little rebuttal, tell her she's a train wreck, and did you make Motor One is Moving for you? That's why the prosecutor, who did you make that for? Who asked you to make that? You're just making Motor One's Moving videos for yourself? That's why her getting on the stand and taking the blame, or the jury saying it could have been either one of them who made the video. Okay, but he tasked her with that from his house. Okay. I wanted to, some people say I wish that, they were real reporters who report on this stuff. And to that I say, I was watching the Met game yesterday, and Jose Iglesias, who's been in baseball for 15 years, he's a great player. He released a song, and it's like, it's a big deal here in New York. Everybody's making a big deal about it. But the reporter who was reporting on that story last night after the Met game called him Jason Iglesias on Channel 11. Jason Iglesias. He's the least Jason guy I've ever seen in my entire life. He's Jose Iglesias. And these reporters, they generally, they might get the story 10 minutes before they're at the scene, right? Like that woman, we've seen the video now, Jeremy R. Why can't you just shut down? Why can't you just follow the law? Why can't you just shut down a YouTube channel? Now, we all know that's the least of the questions. If we got Jeremy like that for 30 seconds, we would forget that, because that's the least of the questions to ask Jeremy, right? These reporters, I don't think, are invested. If any reporter was actually invested, they'd be all over this, like we are, right? Imagine we had the ability to be where they are and do what they do. They do and they don't, because I'm convinced that most people don't do their job anymore, unfortunately. Every time Jeremy is in court, some prosecutor drops the ball. You watch the documents going back between Jen and the courthouse. The chick in the courthouse can't proofread anything, or and I feel the same way about these reporters. I feel like they don't sink their teeth into it and get all the facts and report everything. So I feel like I would rather hear stuff from PT or Josh or Fraudy or me, because we're just more invested. I think you learn more that way. Okay, that was a long one. I'm going to make another one tomorrow or the next day about the phone calls, but I hope that gives you something to listen to on a Sunday afternoon if you're not doing anything. All right, have a great Sunday evening. Enjoy what's left of the weekend. Stay happy, stay healthy, and don't do anything, Jeremy.